This is Wayne Bradley from conservativescool.com. I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit this morning about Ron Paul and his chances for president. I like Ron Paul from the standpoint of he's a brutally honest man. There's not too many honest politicians out there, and we definitely need that in our system. I think that he's spot on about the finances here in America and some of the things we've done to this budget that's got us totally out of control. Um, However, and I'll just say with a caveat, I think that he's the wrong man for president of the United States. He would have my full endorsement if he was running for U.S. Treasury Secretary. He is not. He's not built to be the president of the United States, flat out. I'm just getting to the point now where he's getting a lot of traction in Iowa and places like that. He's not going to beat President Obama. Okay, like I said, that's just it's not going to happen. I think if you could find a position for him right here in America, where he could work on his policy on how not to spend all the money up, how he's not for the wars. I get that. But I just want to kind of go through some of the things that make him what I would consider the best U.S. Department Treasury Secretary we could ever have. But he would not be he's not the best candidate for president, okay? We had this thing called foreign policy, and that is where Ron Paul is weak. I mean, he's just downright weak. I would not support someone that does not want to support Israel, that simply believes that if we just left terrorists alone, they won't bother us either. I mean, that's none of our business. Let them build nuclear missiles, and okay, so they can't reach us, but they can reach our allies. If Ron Paul is our president, and Israel is considered an ally, I sure would not like to have friends like that. Yeah, if you have an ally or friend and you get into a jam, they're supposed to be there to help you out. And Israel is stuck in a jam. They're surrounded by a bunch of countries that want their destruction, and that's why we've helped them out for this long. Now, letting Iran build a nuclear missile and thinking, oh, it's okay, it's no threat to us, it's downright stupid. I just don't buy into that. He would be an excellent Treasury Secretary here in America, but as long as his foreign policy is the way it is, there's no way in the world I would support that. Let's talk about the fact that he is an earmark king. Now he talks about himself not being a Washington insider. I mean, that's how he labeled Newt Gingrich, but this man is the earmark king here in America. Now his excuse is that that's his responsibility is to make sure every dollar is accounted for or whatever. But at the same time, he gets these earmarks and he votes against it to say that he's for fiscal conservatism and he's not, supporting these measures, but make sure that his earmarks are set for his district. There's a reason why he stayed in Congress this long, because he delivers the pork to his district. And I think it's kind of hypocritical to sit here and say that you're against all these things, but making sure that your district gets the pork that they're looking for. So, those that being the main thing is foreign policy, and his hypocritical ways on earmarks. Now, I mean, as a black man, I can go into a whole bunch of other things that I'm not comfortable with. He would have voted against the civil rights, acts in the '60s. He said that the Civil War wasn't necessary to free slaves. That all we had to do was buy the slaves, as if that would have ended slavery, as if those guys who sold them those slaves couldn't get more, because again, we're not fighting for the slaves' rights. That's a state to state issue, I guess, in his mind. So, it seems like that's a lazy way of governing. Turn everything over to the states, and not, and not have the U.S. government responsible for anything but keeping our borders safe. We're an exceptional country. We're not just an average country. We do have a responsibility to make things sure things in the world are not going crazy, and that would mean keeping an eye on things in the Middle East, making sure that these guys, because whether we like it or not, they have big time control of our economy through oil. So the idea is that we're just going to let these guys go over there, build bombs, do things that could, again, in the end of Israel, possibly, they want the death of not only Israel but the West. I don't know any enemy that you leave alone and think they'll just leave you alone. It doesn't work like that. If it did, a lot of things in this world will be resolved a lot better, but it just does not work like that. We give Iran enough time to build a nuclear missile without being challenged. They will make that nuclear missile, and it will be a problem not only for Israel but for a lot of other people. So that's one of the main. Those are the reasons. Now, I'll also say that the Ron Paul supporters need to take a chill pill. They are more uh, passionate than any other candidate on. During the '08 campaign, I thought Obama people were amped up. Ron Paul people are amped up. I've been reported on Facebook now for just what I would consider criticizing even one of his followers. Now, I've got a guy on my Facebook page that can't stop ranting and raving about how Ron Paul is the only person that can save us and things of this nature. And, I get posts every day from Ron Paul people about all these conspiracy theories and FEMA camps and things that might exist. And that is the case. Ron Paul's not going to save us from all that. I just think that it's just, it's almost it's borderline ridiculous. Um, you know, People need to realize that if you're a Ron Paul supporter and you're acting kind of crazy about Ron Paul, that does not do a good job of representing your candidate. So I hope this doesn't offend my friends that are Ron Paul supporters. Um, Again, if he's nominated for president, I hope that he picks someone with some serious foreign policy background as his VP, because I don't think that his policies are something I would feel comfortable with. Actually, Obama's policies on foreign policy is actually better than Ron Paul. So that tells you a lot about how I feel about Ron Paul's foreign policy. That being said, I'm fully behind him if he decides to be nominated for the U.S. Treasury or something of that nature. But he does not belong in the White House. That is one scary proposition that I don't think I can support. So that being said, I hope that the Ron Paul people understand it's nothing personal. I don't dislike Ron Paul. I don't dislike his followers either. I think you guys are a little bit over the top with your passion for the guy, but you have a right to do whatever you want. But Ron Paul is not the best candidate for president of the United States, and that's just being honest. He has no agenda, has no urban agenda. He's voted against the DC voucher program. I mean, this guy, he wants us to be in isolation this country, and I just can't support that. So I just had to get that out. I've been, picked up a lot of Ron Paul people over the last couple of days. I've been reported to Facebook because I made some comment about Ron Paul, and I just think that people need to really get their emotions in check on this guy. He's not the Messiah for America. He's not this guy that, like I said, he's brutally honest. I respect that. And I've tried to figure out why young people like this old guy so much. It has a lot to do with the fact that he wants to legalize drugs and things of that nature. That's not enough of a good reason to. And although I agree with him, the war on drugs has been a waste of money. That's not a platform to run on. Legalizing drugs, allowing Iran and places like that to build nuclear weapons, turn our back to those guys, and allowing them to possibly attack Israel and just turn a blind eye to it and say it's none of our business, doesn't work like that. As a Christian, I don't believe that. An American citizen, I don't believe that. And I think we have to be more realistic with our approach. So that being said, I'll say it one more time. Ron Paul for U.S. Secretary of Treasury, but other than that, he's not going to get a vote from me or anybody that I know of really for the president of the United States. He's running second or third in some polls. Now, again, Ron Paul people are very passionate at the polls, so that doesn't surprise me. But we're talking about a general election. I don't see it happening. So I hope that his supporters that are on my Facebook page, if this offends you, defriend me. We don't have to argue about it. You don't have to keep posting a bunch of articles about how great the man is. If you don't want to have an intelligent debate, I'm all for it. But let's get real here. Let's find us a candidate the Republican Party can be happy to support. Everybody needs to get behind, but Ron Paul's not that guy. So that's my rant on Ron Paul. Ron Paul for U.S. Treasury Secretary, but not for president. Signing out. Peace.